In the dimly lit forges beneath the Emerald Court, Farlan labors with calloused hands, shaping iron beneath the gaze of elven overseers. The clang of hammer against anvil echoes through the cavernous hall, but her thoughts drift to the days when humans roamed free across verdant plains. She remembers whispered legends of ancient battles, when mortals dared to challenge elven supremacy, legends now buried beneath centuries of subjugation. Each day, Farlan molds tools and weapons for elven elites, her heart weighed down by the knowledge that her own people toil endlessly for pennies, their pride reduced to ashes. By night, she slips away from the palace gates and stumbles through hidden tunnels to meet clandestinely with Thandriel, the crown's youngest envoy. Their forbidden bond blossoms under moonlit branches. Farlan's determined spirit entwined with Thandriel's quiet compassion. Though their peoples view each other as enemies, their stolen moments speak of a love that transcends ancient prejudices. Secretly, Thandriel entrusts Farlan with a faded parchment map. Its edges frayed, its runes faint but unmistakable. The map hints at the location of the Aeternon Shard, an artifact of immense power forged in a time when humans and elves fought side by side against a common foe. According to lore, the shard's magic once elevated human courage, allowing them to stand shoulder to shoulder with elven warriors. Over time, the humans were defeated and the shard hidden away, its memory fading into myth. Now Thandriel believes that Farlan's tenacity and cunning might allow her to navigate the treacherous Emeraldwood labyrinth and reclaim the shard. He warns that the elves maintain strict wards around the forest's heart, and that any who attempt to claim the shard without purity of intent risk being consumed by its power. Yet when Farlan cradles the map in her calloused hands, she feels warmth flood her veins, as if destiny itself calls upon her to break the chains of oppression. As dawn approaches, Farlan returns to her forge, concealing the map beneath her coarse tunic. She steels herself for what lies ahead, forging alliances among the scattered human enclaves, inspiring hope where despair has long reigned. Whispers of rebellion already stir in hidden camps outside the Emerald Court, where enslaved laborers share hushed tales of the shard's return. Farlan knows that to unite these fractured souls, she must prove that humans are more than mere servants. She recalls her mother's lullabies of heroes who rose from ashes, and her father's stories of forging swords stronger than elven steel through sheer determination. Though her fingers bear scars from years of labor, her spirit burns brighter than any ember in the forge. As Thandriel fades into the moonlit treetops, Farlan gazes upon the court's tall spires, symbols of the elven dominance that have long loomed over her people. She swallows fear and sets her jaw, feeling the weight of countless lives pressing upon her shoulders. Yet beneath that weight lies a spark of defiance. In that moment, she resolves that no barrier of race or tradition can withstand the human will when fueled by love and guided by purpose. With trembling resolve, Farlan steps into the pale light of morning, determined to embark on a journey that could shatter centuries of tyranny or consume her in its flames. Either way, she will fight for a future where humans stand tall, free from elven contempt. In the forgotten hollows beyond Riverfall Village, word spreads like embers carried on the wind. Farlan bears a map to the Aeternon Shard. Hope kindles in the hearts of those who have known only despair. Jorik, a wiry scavenger with a knack for finding hidden routes through elven patrols, slips into the makeshift tavern where Farlan waits. His eyes gleam with excitement as he recounts whispered rumors among wandering traders. They say you can change everything, Farlan. Even the elders are talking. By candlelight in that dim space, Farlan draws 3 trusted companions close. Mary, whose healing hands once tended to children lost in elven raids. Bram, a former palace guard cast out for speaking truths that challenged the Emerald Court. And Jorik, whose stealthy talents could rival any elven ranger. Together, they pore over the map's cryptic runes and twisting lines. Jorik points to an illustration, a silver tree whose roots snake into darkness. This must mark the Emeraldwood labyrinth, he whispers. Mary, tracing her finger along faded symbols, murmurs, the enchantments here are older than memory. Any who enter risk losing themselves to the forest's illusions. Bram clenches his fist. I fought beside elven soldiers once. Their wards are no trivial matter. We must be prepared for traps that prey on our deepest fears. Farland's gaze sharpens as she recalls nights spent listening to Thandriel's soft warnings. Elven wards respond to intent as much as action. To claim the shard, they must prove themselves worthy. Gathering what little supplies they can, dried meat, forged blades, a handful of healing herbs, the four set out at first light. The air grows cooler as they approach the labyrinth's mossy entrance, where twisted roots form a doorway drenched in emerald twilight. Miri utters a soothing chant, anchoring their minds against enchantments that seek to twist courage into dread. Bram leads them through narrow passages built from living trees, their branches weaving overhead like a vaulted ceiling. Every step echoes with possibility and peril. As dusk descends, the labyrinth's magic stirs, ghostly whispers swirl around them, conjuring visions of loved ones lost or moments of failure. Jorik stumbles, nearly paralyzed by a phantasm of his mother's pleading face. Farland grips his arm, speaking gentle words of clarity until the illusion dissipates. The forest's voice hisses, testing their resolve. Miri presses a calming palm to Bram's shoulder when he reels at the sight of an elven specter demanding his surrender. Together, they push onward, each helping to steady the other's faltering hearts. Suddenly, the forest floor trembles as elven sentinels emerge from hidden alcoves, silent scout archers whose skin shimmers like dew on leaves. Arrows streak through the gloom, seeking gaps in their armor. Jorik rolls aside, drawing two daggers and striking a sentinel's wrist, forcing it to drop its bow. Bram charges forward with a rallying cry, his blade clashing against elven steel as Miri summons her healing energy to mend their wounds mid-battle. Farland, drawing on every scrap of cunning, hurls a smokescreen potion stolen from the palace alchemists into the fray. Swirling mist conceals their retreat as they scramble across a narrow, rickety bridge over a glowing chasm. Just as the sentinels close in, Thandriel's voice rings out through the mist, calm but urgent. He steps from the tree line, dispatching the final elven pursuers with swift, precise strikes. As the sentinels retreat, injured and bewildered, Thandriel kneels beside Farland and examines the map. The shard lies just ahead. He murmurs, his brow furrowed with worry. "We must move quickly. Elven reinforcements will arrive soon." Though his presence endangers them all, Farland feels hope swell in her chest. Even an envoy of the Emerald Court risks everything for their shared cause. As the moon rises overhead, the five companions share a determined glance. With hearts bound by love and purpose, they prepare to delve deeper into the Emerald Wood Labyrinth, where the fate of humanity and elvenkind alike hangs in the balance. Beneath the dense canopy of emerald wood, Farland and her companions step into the labyrinth's depths, where shafts of pale green light dance across gnarled roots and moss-covered stones. The air hums with a subtle magic, as if the forest itself is alive and watching. Every rustle of leaves and flicker of shadow sends jitters through their spines, for elven scouts are rumored to patrol these woods at all hours. The map's runes glow faintly in Farland's palm, guiding them toward hidden passages and protective wards, but the forest's enchantments test their resolve at every turn. Miri takes the lead, her gentle voice rising in a steady chant that soothes trembling hearts. Each note she sings seems to calm the swirling whispers that drift through the trees, whispers that threaten to conjure visions of past failures or lost loved ones. The labyrinth's magic preys on their doubts. Jorik nearly collapses when he envisions a phantom of his younger sister calling out his name. And Bram's breath hitches at the sight of a spectral elven guard urging him to surrender. Farland steadies them both, pressing their hands to her chest and reminding them of the promise that lies ahead. The Aeternon Shard, a beacon of hope for their people. As they navigate twisting pathways formed by thick roots, Bram's keen eye spots faint markings etched into stones, ancient elven runes that point the way to hidden alcoves and shortcuts. He traces a symbol with his fingertip, and a concealed doorway swings open, revealing a narrow corridor lined with phosphorescent fungi. Its soft glow illuminates carved murals depicting elven lore, tales of first contact between elves and humans, when both races united against a common threat. The murals serve as a reminder that the forest was once neutral territory, and Farland wonders if reclaiming the shard can restore some of that forgotten unity. Suddenly, the forest floor trembles as elven sentinels emerge from the undergrowth. They do not speak, their eyes glimmering with steely determination. Arrows rest notched to bows, though the tension in the air suggests violence is imminent. Without hesitation, Jorik ducks behind a fallen log and flings a small vial that releases swirling, smoky vapors. The mist envelops their pursuers, blurring sightlines and muffling sounds. Bram steps forward with quiet confidence, drawing a slender dagger fashioned from palace scraps. Rather than striking at his foe, he carefully severs the bowstring of one approaching sentinel, causing the weapon to drop harmlessly. Miri stands at his side, placing a reassuring hand on his arm, her focus undeterred as she channels healing energy into him, ensuring his strength remains unbroken. Farland grips her newly forged blade, its surface etched with symbols of resilience. Though her heart pounds, she recalls Thandriel's words, "Let determination guide your hand, not anger." As sentinels close in, she sidesteps one guard's slow advance and taps a hidden rune on her blade, releasing a gentle pulse of light that disorients their enemies without harm. The sentinels, stunned by the glow, falter just long enough for Farland's group to slip past them. Amid the confusion, Bram staggers, clutching his side where a slender arrow scraped his ribs. Miri rushes to his side, binding the wound with strips of cloth and murmuring words of comfort until his breathing steadies. Once their adversaries retreat into the shadows, Farland and her companions find themselves atop a narrow, rickety bridge that spans a softly glowing chasm. Vines snake across the planks, making each step precarious. Bram leans on Farland's shoulder as they cross, wincing at every creak. Jorik scans the darkness below, searching for hidden dangers, while Miri comforts Bram with whispered encouragement. As Farland's boot touches the final plank, she peers ahead into a cavern where pale light spills from crystalline formations. She knows that beyond this point lies the heart of the labyrinth, and the Aeternon shard itself. With a final glance at her wounded friend and a determined nod to her allies, Farland steps boldly into the cavern's entrance, determined to press onward alone if need be, for the fate of her people depends on retrieving that ancient relic. Deep within the heart of the Emerald Wood Labyrinth, Farland steps into a vast cavern where crystals shimmer like frozen stars. Luminescent fungi cling to the walls, casting a pale glow that reveals an ancient pedestal carved from marble white stone. Hovering above it is the Aeternon shard, a teardrop of violet light that pulses with a gentle, rhythmic heartbeat. As Farland approaches, her breath catches. Every fiber of her being hums with anticipation and trepidation. The air here feels charged, heavy with echoes of ages past. Suddenly, the cavern's light dims as ghostly figures materialize between the crystalline pillars. Elongated forms with angular features and silvery hair drift toward Farland, the spectral ancestors of the Elven High Council. They speak in voices that ripple like wind through leaves, their words both accusatory and mournful. Why does a mortal dare to claim what was forbidden to her kind? They intone, eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. Farland's heart pounds as doubt claws at her resolve, but she steels herself, reminding herself of the countless lives that depend on her success. The spectral figures meld into towering guardians shaped like living statues of elven warriors. Their bodies are translucent silver, limbs elongated and faces lit by inner starlight. Each guardian raises a bow of moonlight, the string drawn taut and glowing with ethereal energy. They speak in unison, "Prove your worth, human, or be consumed." Arrows of pure magic materialize, pointing toward Farland and her companions waiting at the cavern's edge. Bram tends to his still bleeding wound. Miri murmurs healing chants, and Jorik grips twin daggers forged from palace iron. Farland draws her blade, its runic symbols faintly glowing from her earlier battles. Stepping forward, she allows the first arrow to fly. As it streaks toward her, she presses the toe of her boot against the cavern floor, tracing a hastily memorized sigil that sends a pulse of mirrored light rippling outward. The arrow collides with the shimmering barrier and shatters into motes of silver dust. The first guardian falters, its form flickering in surprise. Farland seizes the moment. She leaps toward the pedestal. But the guardians converge, each drawing sinewy bows aimed at her heart. With a steady voice, Farland calls upon her companions. Mary raises her voice in a healing hymn that ripples through the cavern, strengthening Bram's faltering limbs. Bram, gripping his dagger, lunges at the nearest guardian. Though his blade passes through the guardian's form, it disrupts the guardian's magical matrix, causing its translucent limbs to ripple like water before dissolving into a cascade of stardust. Jorik disappears into the shadows, using the cavern's jagged walls to launch surprise attacks. Each time a guardian reconstitutes a new arrow, Jorik hurls a small vial that releases a thick, glowing mist, blinding the guardians long enough for Farland to advance. As she nears the pedestal, the last guardian channels the shard's energy into a lance of violet light. Farland raises her sword, its runes flaring as they resonate with the shard's power. She meets the lance head-on, and the collision of energies sends a shockwave that throws her to the ground. Pain lances through her body, but she forces herself to stand, pressing one hand to the pedestal. The shard's glow intensifies, filling her with warmth and clarity. She hears the ancestors' voices transform from accusation to awe. "You are worthy." Farland closes her eyes and lifts the shard. It feels alive in her palms, humming with ancient purpose. Visions flood her mind, humans and elves standing shoulder to shoulder, forging swords and vows together. The cavern trembles as the last guardian collapses into glittering motes, its form dissolving completely. Bram rushes forward, his legs steady enough to support him as he clasps Farland's arm, concern and pride in his eyes. Mary gently presses a cool cloth to Farland's temple, guiding her as she recovers from the shard's surge. Outside the cavern, the labyrinth's vines writhe as if aware of the shard's awakening. Farland knows their time is short. The Emerald Court's reinforcements will descend upon the cavern soon. Holding the shard close to her chest, she nods to her friends. Together, they exit the glowing chamber, stepping into the shadowed tunnels where destiny awaits. With the Aeternon shard safely hidden beneath her tunic, Farland and her companions emerge from the emerald wood labyrinth at dawn's first light. The morning mist clings to the fields of Riverfall Village, where human laborers move warily beneath the weight of Elven overseers' commands. As Farland steps into the village square, whispers ripple through the crowd. Her face, once bowed in submission, now shines with determination. Mary stands at her side, offering healing salves to the injured laborers. Jorik and Bram spread among the villagers, revealing hidden caches of elven-made weapons, rusted swords, misshapen shields, and cracked helmets once discarded by patrolling guards. Farland climbs atop a weathered wooden crate and reveals the shard's faint violet glow to the gathered crowd. A hush falls over the square as eyes, dulled by years of oppression, widen with wonder. This, Farland's voice trembles with conviction, is proof that we are more than mere laborers. We were born free, and we can stand tall. The shard pulses, as if echoing her words, baiting the faces of every villager in its soft light. Hope, long buried beneath layers of fear, flares anew in their chests. Over the next days, the village transforms. Beneath Mary's guidance, fields once left fallow sprout vibrant crops. Blacksmiths, once compelled to work only for elven masters, gather beneath Bram's leadership to forge crude armor from scavenged metal. Young hunters, led by Jorik, slip beyond village boundaries to ambush lightly guarded elven caravans. Each raid yields provisions and weapons, redistributed among the villagers. When elven supply wagons approach, they find empty roads and hastily destroyed bridges, forcing them to turn back empty-handed. As word of Farland's deed spreads to neighboring enclaves, human communities that once trembled at the sight of an elven patrol now prepare their own defenses. Farland sends emissaries bearing folded maps, rune-marked to guide them safely through the emerald wood labyrinth, to claim shards of hope in hidden caches. Each envoy carries a vial of Mary's healing draught, ensuring wounded rebels can endure until dawn. Bram trains volunteers in basic swordplay and shield formations, using techniques gleaned from his days within the palace guard. Jorik, ever the strategist, lays plans for guerrilla strikes, silent arrows aimed at supply wagons, diversions in the forest's edge, and coded signals communicated through bird calls. Meanwhile, in the Emerald Court's marble halls, alarms echo from every tower. Commander Calith, draped in ceremonial robes, furrows his brow at missives warning of stolen weapons and stymied supply lines. The shard's theft has shaken Elven confidence. They believe humans too frail to challenge their wards. Prince Thandriel, haunted by his promise to Farlan, pleads for clemency toward the villagers. But the High Council, sworn to uphold Elven supremacy, demands swift retribution. They dispatch battalions of mage archers, each capable of conjuring scorching fire bolts, to sweep through Riverfall and crush the incipient rebellion. One moonless night, Farlan convenes her allies in a hollowed barn. Torches cast dancing shadows on packed earth floors as she unfolds a fresh map, this one detailing the planned path of the Elven incursion. They march at dawn, she whispers. We'll meet them here, at the western palisade. Our numbers may be small, but our resolve is stronger. The villagers, their fear replaced by fierce determination, ready themselves. Farmers grasp sharpened tools as improvised spears, mothers secure their children in hidden cellars, and the blacksmiths forge final reinforcements for Farlan's blade. As the first shafts of sunlight pierce the horizon, human defenders stand arrayed behind hastily erected barricades. The Elven Legion, gleaming like a tide of silver, approaches with disciplined precision. For a moment, silence reigns, two worlds on the brink. Farlan tightens her grip on the shard's enchanted hilt, its violet glow reflecting in her eyes. With a clarion cry that echoes over the fields, she charges forward, setting the stage for a battle that will determine whether humans reclaim their dignity or remain chained beneath Elven rule. Under the pale glow of the silver moon, Farlan crouches behind a fallen pillar of hewn stone, her heart racing as the Elven Legion's torches flicker in the distance. She clutches the Aeternon shard close to her chest, its faint violet light a beacon of hope for her people. Beside her, Bram adjusts a rough leather strap across his shoulder, preparing to defend the western palisade. Miri, kneeling on damp earth, offers a final blessing to the wounded villagers tending makeshift wounds. Jorik, ever watchful, surveys the field, his keen eyes darting through drifting shadows. As the first Elven battle horns echo, Thandriel emerges silently from the tree line. His voice, barely above a whisper, trembles with urgency. Farlan, I cannot stand idle while innocents suffer. I've come to guide the elves away from the eastern flank. Farlan lowers her gaze, trusting him yet haunted by the knowledge that any Elven among them could be both an ally and an enemy. Be cautious, she breathes. We cannot risk exposure. Thandriel nods, placing a gentle hand on her arm before slipping into the gloom. Moments later, a thunderous roar fills the air as Calith's legion charges forward. Elven banners flutter in the breeze, symbols of dominance that once crushed human spirits. Human defenders hold their breath, bracing behind barricades of sharpened timbers and overturned carts. As Elven vanguard approaches, Miri stands at Farlan's side, weaving gentle wards of protection with her whispered chants. Bram, sword in hand, grips his shield, muscles tensing. Jorik, perched atop a low wall, readies his bow, arrow notched and aimed at the approaching wave. Suddenly, as the Elven lines surge, a chorus of Elven horns sounds from an unexpected direction, the eastern flank. Farlan's heart sinks. She turns to see Thandriel leading an advance guard of Elven archers directly toward their hidden reserves of food and munitions. Confusion ripples through the human ranks. Was he deceiving them? Farlan seizes Thandriel's gaze across the chaos, seeing no malice, only conflicted loyalty. Yet the momentary distraction allows Calith's main force to smash through the western barricade. As Elven swords clash with human spears, Farlan fights with every ounce of determination, warding off Elven blades with the shard's shield of light. Bram wedges his shield between two advancing Elven soldiers, buying Farlan a chance to intercept an arrow aimed at a young villager. The arrow shatters against the shard's protective aura, embedding harmlessly in the earth. Miri rushes to the child's side, pressing a healing poultice to torn flesh. Amidst the clamor, Farlan catches sight of Jorik pinned beneath a fallen beam, blood seeping through his tunic. She hesitates, torn between saving her friend and confronting Thandriel's sudden betrayal. With resolve, she abandons the shard's glow to lift the beam alongside Bram, freeing Jorik just as an elven soldier steps menacingly toward them. Before the sword can strike, Thandriel appears between them, deflecting the blow with a swift motion. His eyes plead for understanding. "Trust me." Farlan's anger flares. "Why divert your forces? Why betray us?" Thandriel's expression crumbles. "Caleth forced my hand. He threatened to unleash the High Council's war mages if I did not comply. I tried to shield your supplies, but they outnumbered me." His voice cracks. Farlan steps back, shaking with hurt. "Our hope nearly died tonight." With that, Thandriel darts away, intercepting a group of elven mages summoning searing firebolts at human reinforcements. His swift intervention saves countless lives, but Farlan cannot decide whether to embrace gratitude or sorrow. As dawn breaks, human defenders hold their ground, battered but unbroken. Farlan lowers the shard's glow and surveys the cost. Wounded friends tend to broken spirits, yet the ember of rebellion remains alive. Though Thandriel's actions nearly doomed them, his final stand against the mages kindles an ember of doubt in her heart. Under the silver moon's fading light, Farlan realizes that trust is fragile, loyalty is tested, and love may be the greatest risk of all. Beneath the bruised sky at the edge of Riverfall's reclaimed fields, the human defenders brace behind hastily erected barricades. The Aeternon shard glows beneath Farlan's tunic, a heartbeat of hope in the storm of approaching elven steel. As the Elven Legion advances, their armor glints like moonlight on water, and a hush settles over the battlefield. Two worlds colliding at last. With a stirring cry, Farlan steps forward and raises the shard. A ripple of violet light arcs outward, forming a shimmering dome that wars off the first volley of enchanted arrows. The projectiles shatter against its surface, spraying sparks that fall like embers. Emboldened by the shard's power, human archers loosed volleys of crude iron-tipped arrows, forcing elven shields to sway and catching some off guard. Miri stands behind Farlan, weaving soft chants that mend wounds as they appear, her voice an anchor in the chaos. On the western flank, Bram and Thandriel fight side by side, an unlikely pair united by defiance. Bram's blade, though forged from paltry scraps, strikes true, deflecting elven steel with surprising force. Thandriel moves with elven grace, his slender sword dancing between foes. Together, they clear a path for human spearmen who thrust their sharpened stakes into the advancing elven ranks. Each time a human soldier falters, Bram or Thandriel is there to catch him, their combined strength a testament to unity. Meanwhile, Jorik darts through the fringes, each step a calculation of risk and reward. He lights hidden catches of oil beneath overturned carts and abandoned siege engines. With muffled flares, fire licks the wooden frames, turning elven war machines into roaring infernos. Startled elven reinforcements break formation to battle the flames, thinning the main front. Jorik's laughter, sharp and triumphant, rings in Farlan's ears. Even in the darkest hour, cleverness can shift the balance. As the elven mages prepare a devastating volley of firebolts, Farlan channels the shard's energy through her outstretched arms. A dome of radiant light surges upward, intercepting the crackling fire and expelling it outward in a cascade of harmless embers. The granite ground shakes as a shockwave ripples through the elven lines, sowing confusion. Human warriors surge forward, their battered armor gleaming with fresh resolve. Bram's voice booms, "For our hones?" and the humans rally, pressing the attack. At the heart of the fray, Commander Caleth strides toward Farlan, his blade drawn and eyes alight with fury. He challenges her, voice ringing, "Surrender now or die like the rest." Farlan meets his gaze, violet light dancing in her eyes. She plants her feet and raises the shard. As Caliph lunges, a sudden pulse of shard energy springs forth, disarming him and sending his sword spinning across the blood-soaked ground. For a moment, time seems suspended, an elven commander brought low by a moral. Thandriel's cry pierces the tumult, cease, and many elven soldiers pause, uncertainty flickering in their expressions. Farland steps closer to Caliph, its glow steady and unwavering. "This ends now," she whispers. The humans behind her exhale as one. Caliph kneels, his pride fractured, and the Legion hesitates. The shard's light dims, settling into Farland's hand like a sleeping ember. As dawn's first rays break the clouds, battlefield silence is broken by a tentative cheer. Human defenders lower their weapons and elven soldiers, eyes wide with astonishment, begin to step back. Farland exhales, her body trembling with relief. Nearby, Bram and Thandriel exchange weary smiles, their bond sealed by victory. Jorik emerges from the smoke, wiping soot from his grin, and Miri tends to the injured, her soft murmurings a balm for ragged souls. In that charged moment, humans and elves alike recognize that the age of subjugation has ended. United by the shard's power and the courage of a single human heart, they glimpse a future where both races stand side by side. Beneath the rising sun, the war's turning tide washes away centuries of shame, leaving only the promise of a new dawn. Beneath the first light of dawn, the battlefield lies still, bathed in a gentle glow that speaks of both loss and renewal. Farland stands at the edge of the clearing, where the earth is scared by the echoes of war. Around her, human and elven warriors tend to their wounded, their faces illuminated by hope rather than fear. Caliph, the once proud elven commander, kneels before Farland on his battered knee. His eyes, usually cold with arrogance, now reflect humility as he lowers his head. "I misjudged your people," he murmurs, voice trembling. "Today, I see what I was blind to: your courage, your resolve, and above all, your worth." Thandriel steps forward, his cloak tattered from the final skirmish, yet his posture regal in its quiet strength. He lifts his hand, calling for silence among the gathered crowd. Elves, their armor scuffed and weapons sheathed, stand alongside humans whose makeshift shields are dented from countless blows. The silence that falls is thick with anticipation. Today marks the end of an era of division. Thandriel's voice rings clear yet gentle. From this moment forth, elves and humans will share a single council, united in purpose and spirit. All voices will carry equal weight, and no tradition will stand above justice and compassion. A hush spreads through the assembly as Thandriel gestures toward an ancient altar nearby, once a relic of elven exclusivity, now repurposed for this new beginning. Farland steps forward, her heart pounding. Beneath her tunic, the Aeternon shard pulses with a soft violet glow, as though reluctant to relinquish its power so soon. As she draws closer, the shard's light intensifies, casting dancing patterns on the surrounding trees. Farland places the shard on the cool marble surface of the altar. For a moment, the entire clearing trembles, and a hush grips every soul present. Then slowly the shard dissolves into motes of golden light that drift upward, like fireflies released into the dawn sky. As the last mote vanishes, a collective breath is released. On one side, elven banners, once symbols of dominance, are lowered by armored guards who exchange weary glances with those they once oppressed. On the other side, human flags rise from trembling hands, painted hastily yet proudly in the colors of their reclaimed dignity. The banners sway together in the morning breeze, a silent testament to newfound unity. Farland turns to Caliph, whose eyes brim with both sorrow for the past and hope for the future. He extends a hand, and Farland places her own within it. The touch is gentle but charged with significance, the union of two peoples long divided. Beside them, Thandriel bows his head in respect, his love for Farland shining brighter than any elven jewel. As they step forward side by side, humans and elves alike cheer, their voices weaving into a single chorus that stretches across the valley. Children who once cowered at the sight of elven patrols now race through the grass, laughing with a freedom they have never known. Elders, their backs bent from years of labor and sorrow, stand taller, eyes shining with tears of relief. In the distance, the emerald wood forest stirs as if awakened by this moment of reconciliation. Birds take flight, their psalms weaving through the canopy. The fresh fragrance of dew-kissed leaves fills the air, as though the land itself celebrates the promise of healing. Farlin closes her eyes, letting the warmth of the morning sun wash over her. In her mind, she hears her mother's lullaby, an ancient human tune, and her father's mantled hammer's song, now silenced by elven rule. Today, she realizes, those melodies can blend once more. As the new council is formed beneath the flowering branches of the centuries-old oak, Farlin and Thandriel pledge their lives to the shared dream of equality. They gotta guide both races toward a future built on trust, compassion, and mutual respect. And though the scars of war will not vanish overnight, the light of this new dawn offers a promise that no longer will one race bow to another, and that love, daring, defiant love, has indeed rewritten history.